who put on a great deal of eye makeup to attract men. So while we're considered racist, if we ask the question, why are women still in Islam, where Ayaan Hirsi Ali has converted to Christianity, how do we, who are not Muslim, reconcile or understand that it is not a culturally racist question to ask a woman, how do you choose to stay in Islam, when in fact Islam condemns women to half the stature of men?
That was a brilliant comment and a question. I'll just refer to the comment you made about the fact that when the honor killings happen in Canada, especially the Shafia case, I remember I was very involved in writing about it and speaking about it. And what really bothered me was the fact that many women's organizations and feminist organizations were more concerned about the use of the word honor and the semantics of whether the word honor should be used or not. And that moved the focus away from the lives of these young girls. It is honor-based violence, and we need to use that word so that people can understand that honor killings are not domestic violence. There is a huge difference. And therefore it was important to use that word, but not focus on just the semantics and take away the attention from the lives of these young girls. So certainly Justin Trudeau's remark was very off-putting, and especially in the position that he is. In terms of Raquel, I can't speak for her and what choices she has made. And if a woman decides by choice to cover her hair, I presume it doesn't make her brain damaged. So certainly, that is a choice. I would have a problem if she was being forced to cover her hair. The choice that women make to stay in Islam, I am a practicing observant Muslim, and I have chosen to stay in Islam because I know that Islam does not shackle me, but patriarchal culture shackle me. And I know, having read about my faith, that there is a lot of freedom if one can understand it and implement it. It's power, patriarchy, and politics that have brought us where we are. And I choose to speak out and bring change and reform from within the faith. We have a long way to go. We have a lot of reform that we need to bring. We are at a stage where Christianity was at the beginning of the reform. Everything is not wonderful. However, if all of us decide to leave the faith, who's going to bring about the change? So I choose to stay within the faith and bring change. Thank you.
I'm Palestinian Muslim, and I'm very proud of being Muslim. I have two questions. In the film, they call the women who are wearing hijab stupid women. What about the Christian nuns? Are they stupid as well? And one more thing, the women who have children when they are teenagers, there are many women in the Western countries who have children, many girls, who are teenagers who have illegal children. So please thank you.
Thank you for that question. I don't actually recall women in hijab being called stupid in the film. Did I miss something? Did anybody? So I don't know where you got that from. I've seen the film more than 24 times, so forgive me if I missed that, but I don't see women in hijab. In fact, I think the film was extremely respectful to women in hijab because they actually have a woman in hijab. In terms of what happens to Western women, I will only tell you that I have a mandate as a Muslim woman that if there is garbage in my home and there is garbage in my neighbor's home, it is my moral and ethical responsibility to clean up my garbage before I criticize my neighbor's garbage. In terms of women's rights, and let me just finish please, in terms of women's rights and in terms of what is happening to Muslim women, there is so much garbage that we have a long way to go and we need to look at our own. I'm going to hand it over.
Okay, I'll answer your question about teenage pregnancy.
I want to add something. As a Muslim, we believe in all prophets, all holy books, Judaism, Christianity, Torah, Bible, and the Quran, which is the last religion. We respect all religions.
Wonderful.
So I'm not criticizing anybody. I respect everybody and we like everybody. We are not not against anybody.
My sister,
Wonderful.
this is not about religion.
I'm with
it's
you,
about
and that is
humanity.
why I'm a Muslim. We are at peace with everyone. However, teenage pregnancies is a problem, and it's a problem all over the world. And the West is addressing the issues in whatever form or way. There are social agencies that help these girls who become pregnant while being teenagers. The only difference is that girl is not forced into teenage pregnancy. Whereas in some parts of the world, girls who are children themselves are forced to have children. So the forcing is the problem that needs to be highlighted. The other problems have to be dealt with by social agencies. But what is inhuman has to be stopped at once. What is a norm can wait till we find solutions for it.
Right, okay. I've got to talk fast because Fred always tells me I talk too much. The first item is you may be interested to know that FGM has been known about for a long, long time in Ottawa. There was a vigorous correspondence about it in the Ottawa Citizen. It's more than 20 years ago now, with discussion and people aware, and it's going on here. It's been going on for a while. And that leads into the actual question, which leads on from what Flora Love said about us dodging a bullet in Ontario with Sharia being made a part of the legal system, as is just happening in Britain even as we speak. And I'm wondering what happens if in about 10 years' time they come back for the Sharia advocates come back for another bite of the cherry, with this time with a far greater demographic weight and far more votes to be harvested by twits like Justin Trudeau. And don't you think in that context that until all this is sorted out, there should be a complete moratorium on immigration from countries that produce this sort of nonsense?
Oh, okay.
Yes, you're absolutely right. The Sharia that was stopped will reappear again in some form or another. There'll be a push to introduce it. But England woke up too late. Canada, fortunately, especially under this government, is much more aware of what's happening in the world than Britain was even 40 years ago. So, with what is happening now, with people speaking out, it will be tough to sell it once more. And what was the second part? Yeah, twits like Justin Trudeau. So, don't vote for twits. Vote for sane, reasonable people to govern
Okay, next question. Please keep your questions quick.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot lately about sex selection, where women are being targeted either prenatally or shortly after birth. And I'm wondering if you can speak to that, what is being done in that area with like sex selection.
Yes, in certain countries and cultures, this is a very important aspect where they abort female fetuses and they keep the male fetuses. I think that once again, awareness and open dialogue and discussion about these issues is very important, and it's important that our medical practitioners and that our the communities know about this, and that awareness is created even among the women themselves, who are pregnant and who should not be going for specific sex selection. We have to ensure that our societies are not buying into these cultural practices, and this is why we have to create awareness, and this is why a film like Honor Diaries is so important, so that it brings the discussion out into the open. It's education. It's education of women. But right, so to answer your question, actually at the moment nothing is being done about it, but it's another issue that we need to talk about.
Yeah, because it's happening even in North America. Thank you.
Okay, over here.
If female genital mutilation is to preserve virginity, why are there girls being forced to be married and becoming pregnant as early as 12. And if preserving virginity is so important and it's a part of culture, why do so many men rape young girls? Especially when Muslims, especially men, are so focused on sticking to the culture and not dishonoring the family by going against their religion and culture.
Thank you. I just told my wife I'll answer that, but forced her to be silent. FGM is a practice not to maintain virginity, but for a woman not to enjoy sex. What you are talking about, why are men then raping girls so young? The answer is they are raping in a very organized and structural manner by marrying young girls, 8, 9, 10, and not one, but up to 4. That is what is allowed to them. So it is sort of justifiable rape. This is what I said when I said that, yes, Islam is responsible because people are misusing certain aspects and certain verses of it to justify what is happening. Right?
Let me add to this by giving you a factual incident following up on what Sohail has said. In Pakistan, where I come from, there is an Islamic Ideology Council, which is a group of right-wing religious clerics who have just taken over. And before they made this ruling, which I'm going to talk about, there was a limit on the age of a young girl being married. It was 18. And there was also a law that said, in order to avert polygamy, there was a law that said that if a man wanted to marry a second wife, he had to take permission from his first wife. So in 99% of the cases, that would not happen. What this Islamic Ideology Council has done is, they have said that both these rulings, both these laws are un-Islamic. So they want to remove the age limit, which means that men can marry a girl at any age, young age. So they don't want to have an age limit, and they want to remove this polygamy law that says